Hi, I'm Srinath. I'm a drum faculty at the Goa Jazz Academy. Welcome to the Hi-hat Control series. In today's video, we are going to learn a simple concept about how to control our dynamics on the hi-hat using our left foot. It's a very simple concept, but if we are mindful of it as we play or perform, it will make us a very nuanced and dynamic player. So let's get right into the lesson. Now, before we get into the lesson, let's understand a very interesting trivia about the hi-hat. Now, the hi-hat is the only instrument in the entire drum set that you play both with your hands and with your feet. Right? Think about it. There's no other instrument on the drum set that we play with both our hands and our feet. And this special property gives the hi-hat a huge dynamic range. You can play really tight with the hi-hat to get a more funky sound, but you can really open it up also to give it a large arena sound. So it won't be wrong to say that the hi-hat kind of lays the foundation of which area of the music spectrum does the groove itself belong in. Interesting, right? Now, before we go into the technical aspects of this, let's just understand the musical applications. I'll just play the same beat 3 times in a row, and each time I'm going to vary the dynamic on the hi-hat, not using my hands but using my left foot. And let's just understand how that changes the music and the feeling of the music. Now let's try to understand what was happening with the hi-hat foot in the previous example. So basically what I did was change the pressure on my left foot. So I'm going to play the same example again with just the hi-hat and notice how the pressure on my left foot changes. Now, did you notice the only thing that changed in that whole time frame, in that whole beat, was the dynamic of the hi-hat? I did not change the dynamic of the bass drum, nor did I change the dynamic of the snare drum. But just how I was varying the dynamic of the hi-hat changed how the whole beat felt. When the hi-hat is tighter, it kind of gives a tight and funky feel. When it's a little more open, it kind of gives a sloshy feel, something you might want to play during a chorus of a song. And when it's really open, it gives a grand sound, almost like an arena sound, something you might want to use in a metal song, or even when you are counting off a song. Like now, in the previous example, we broadly saw 3 different dynamics, one with a really tight hi-hat sound, one with a sloshy sound, and one with a really open sound, all by just varying the pressure on the left foot. But here's something that I want you to be mindful of. Between the tightest of the hi-hat sounds to the most open of them, there is a wide spectrum in which you can explore the kind of sounds you want to get. So it all depends on how much pressure you put on your left foot. So any beat that you're already comfortable playing, just try to go from the very tightest of hi-hat sounds to the most open sounds and try to transition very slowly over a course of a few bars so that you realize that the same beat has a different kind of a feel as you change the sound of the hi-hat using the pressure on the left foot. Now, one might wonder, why is it important to practice like this? I can practice it with just a close hi-hat and then with an open hi-hat, a sloshy hi-hat differently. But here's what I want you to imagine. Imagine that you are in a band setting and the dynamic keeps changing over time, right? It's never the same. It's not like flipping a switch. So you have to be always listening and then deciding what kind of a sound you want from the hi-hat. Because from the earlier example, we came to know that the hi-hat can really determine the kind of mood we create, the overall sound we get as we play as a band setting. So this will help you play and respond better when you're playing with a bunch of musicians, just by the simple choice of how much pressure you put on your left foot. Secondly, this serves as a great tool if you want to transition from section to section. Say if you're going from a verse to a chorus, and the song doesn't really demand that you play a huge fill, but it does ask of you that you play something that demarcates these two sections. And here's where the hi-hat foot can come in, where you can play more chunky and more tight sound when it's in the verse section, but gradually have a crescendo over a bar or 2 bars to indicate that there is a swell in the sounds, and eventually you play a crash and go into the chorus section. So let me demonstrate that for you so that you can understand how this can be applied in a musical setting. So, how did you like these concepts? We started with the simple exercise of varying the dynamic on the left foot on the hi-hat and observing how that changes the feel of a groove. Then we looked at the technical aspects of it as to how to achieve this broad spectrum of sounds that exists between having the hi-hat foot really tight to having it really open and everything in between. And that's what our homework was also, to take a very simple beat that you can already play, but only vary the dynamic on the hi-hat based on how much pressure you put on your left foot. The second part of the homework was how to use this concept to transition between, say, a verse and a chorus. So say over 2 bars, we just use the dynamic of the hi-hat. We open it up little by little until we get a more open sound, the kind of full sound that we would usually need in a chorus section of a song. So explore these concepts also at your end once you master the basics that we discussed here and come up with your own ways of utilizing this in a musical setting. You can make your own videos and share them on social media and tag us so that we know how you're doing, and hopefully we learn something from you in the process. Thank you for sticking till the very end of this hi-hat series lesson. We have many more interesting concepts coming up in the lessons to follow, so please stick around. Please like, share and subscribe to our channel and hit that bell icon so that you get all notifications whenever we upload a new video. Thanks again for sticking till the very end, and we'll see you again in the next video.